Budgeting gets a bad rap, like it's just for people who don't make much money or something. Well, that's wrong. It's just about understanding your money so you can prioritize your spending. And it doesn't mean you have to deprive yourself or never hang out with your friends again. It just means you have to pay attention, because once you do, your money will go a whole lot further, and probably a lot further than you ever even imagined. You don't have to be a finance whiz or an expert to start budgeting and get your money in order. All you need is a little common sense. Set goals. The first step to getting your money in order is figuring out why you're doing it, because otherwise, they probably won't happen. But if you don't know what your goals are, that's okay. Just start thinking about what's important to you, both now and down the road. If you don't have emergency savings, that's a big one. Enough money saved up to cover at least 3 to 6 months of expenses. You should also have a rainy day fund. This is money you can tap into for an unexpected bill, like a medical bill or a car repair. A general rule of thumb is about $1,000, but it also depends on your situation. Another goal you should have is paying off credit card debt. If you have high interest credit card debt, you're never going to reach your savings goals the longer that debt sits there. So start paying off that credit card debt. That should be a big goal. Other long-term goals, buying a car, buying a house, even if these are 2, 3, 5 years from now, you need to start saving for them now. Because if you reach the point when you want to buy a house and realize you're not financially prepared, it's not a fun situation to be in. So whatever your goals are, write them down, put it somewhere you'll see it as a reminder of what you're working for. Figure out exactly how much money is coming in and how much is going out. Before you can start budgeting, you have to know exactly how much money you're making. And unfortunately, your annual salary is not how much money you actually make. So let's start with your paycheck. Everyone pays different amounts in taxes, depending on your individual situation. Some people get tax deductions for working from home, and taxes get really complicated. So we're gonna get into that in another video. But for now, let's go over a few taxes that most workers in the US pay. Federal income tax, Social Security, Medicare, and state income tax. But state income tax depends, again, on your situation and where you live. So those taxes are taken automatically out of your paycheck before you even see any money. And then there are some other things that may also be taken out of your paycheck before you see any money. Again, it depends on your situation, but those could be insurance payments. If you signed up for dental or medical insurance through your employer, those payments may be taken out automatically from your paycheck. Your 401k contributions. If you signed up for a 401k at work, those may also be automatically taken out of your paycheck. And if you aren't quite sure, and really, even if you do have an idea, your best bet is to get an itemized version of your pay stub from your employer. Just ask your boss how to get it. You could probably get it online. That will outline everything for you, every tax deduction, so you can know exactly what's coming in with every paycheck. So let's do an example. Let's say you make $40,000 a year and you get paid every other week. So you take $40,000, divide by 26, and multiply that number by 2. It's a little over $3,000. So that's your gross monthly income. That's how much money you make before taxes and deductions. And then you have to figure out what your actual take-home pay is every month. And this is where it can get kind of not so pretty. So we'll do a general estimate. Let's say you make 2/3 of your annual salary. So we're gonna do a generic estimate. Since again, everyone's taxes and deductions are different, everyone has a different situation, a good rule of thumb, a good estimate is that you take home 2/3 of your annual salary in take-home pay. So you take $40,000, multiply by 0.67, divide that number by 26, and then multiply by 2. And it comes to about a little over $2,000. So you can see the impact taxes and deductions have on your salary, because you went from $3,000 a month to $2,000 a month. And those are the numbers you have to pay attention to before you start budgeting, because you have to figure out what you're making before you can figure out how much you should be spending. Now you have to figure out exactly how much money is going out. Now, this is where it can get kind of ugly, but you have to do it if you want to actually get your money in order. So take your statements from last month and go through every single expense. If you want to get a bigger picture, go back 3 months and take all of those statements and go through every single expense. Every coffee, every movie rental, every bar tab, whatever they are. And break them down into 3 different categories. The first one is fixed costs. These are bills that stay the same every month, or roughly the same. So rent or mortgage, your cell phone bill, insurance, minimum debt payments, things like that. The second category is goals and savings. This would be extra payments toward your debts, long-term savings or short-term savings, so emergency savings, rainy day savings, or if you're putting money away for a car or house. Third category is flexible spending. This is everything else. So line everything up, broken down into those 3 categories, and you'll get a good idea of where your money's actually going. Know how much you should be spending. So we'll take those same 3 main categories and break them down. No more than 50% of your income, your take-home pay, should go toward fixed costs. So those bills that are roughly the same every month. And really, if you want to break it down further, no more than 25% of your monthly income should go toward your rent or mortgage, your housing. And you can break those down even further. Next, for your goals and savings, you really want to put aside 20% of your income. And if that's stretching it, that should be a goal for your goals and savings, is to be able to set aside 20% of that take-home pay to reach those goals. Finally, your flexible spending. This is 30% of your income. So you want to make sure that you're staying in budget in each of these big, broader categories, and then you can break them down even further. But these will give you kind of a rough guideline to start with before you start breaking them down once you get a better picture of your monthly income, your spending, your saving, and all of your finances and what's going on each month. So by now you should have a good grasp on what's happening with your money every month. It may not be a very pretty picture, but that's where your actual budget comes in. So once you've figured out your monthly take-home pay, divvy it up among those 3 main categories: fixed costs, goals and savings, and flexible spending. So using the example from earlier, so let's say you're making $40,000 a year and your take-home pay is 2/3 of that. That would mean your monthly take-home pay is about $2,000. So that would mean fixed costs, $1,000, goals and savings, $400, flexible spending, $600. So you can see how little those categories start to get, and that's where reducing costs comes in, and actually paying attention to each individual category really counts. So once you've figured out how much of your monthly take-home pay goes toward each budget, then you actually have to divvy up your paycheck. If you aren't very disciplined and you're just starting out with budgeting and maybe your spending is a little out of control, you might want to stick with cash. So make sure there's enough money in your accounts to cover all your recurring bills, any bills you pay online, or if you pay your rent or mortgage or anything by check. Make sure those are covered. And then make sure your savings are going automatically in from your paycheck. And then anything else you need to cover for the month, take it out in cash. And then you can break it up into separate envelopes, narrowing the budget down even further. So maybe an envelope for groceries, an envelope for entertainment, whatever they are. And by using cash, you'll know exactly how much you have left for the month, and letting that money go for a coffee might be a little bit more difficult than just swiping your card. Another way you can do it is set up 3 separate accounts for each part of the budget. And most banks will let you do this for free. Then you set up your direct deposit to automatically split up your paycheck among those 3 accounts. You tell it exactly how much money to put into each account, and then you can track each part of the budget using those separate accounts. And then whatever's left should go automatically into savings. Finally, the only way you will ever actually stick to a budget is by tracking everything. Every dollar that comes in and every dollar that goes out. And this is actually the easiest part because there are tons of free apps that will do it for you. I use an app called Mint. When I started out, I set my budget and I've tweaked it along the way, which once you get a feel for it, you'll be able to do too. So I've narrowed my budget down even further. And Mint and other apps like this will give you alerts and updates on your progress. So let's say I'm getting close to going over my grocery budget for the month, I get an alert. But I also get an alert when I get closer to paying off a debt. And getting an update that you're making progress toward paying down a debt, that's about as good of a motivation as you're gonna get. For more common sense with me, Alex Sadler, and to learn more about getting your budget in order, go to clark.com/commonsense.